They say that when you start any project, you should anticipate it will take double the time and cost double the money. And I've certainly found that to be the case when it comes to our landscaping. We are in a new build home and are doing all of the landscaping ourselves, i.e. Dave is mostly doing the landscaping, and so it is taking a lot longer than I originally anticipated. I had hoped that by this point in time I would be able to show you like a complete back and front yard transformation, but unfortunately that is not the case, so I figured I would just show you guys the progress to date. I'm not sure why I bothered, but when we first moved in, I tried to decorate this back deck area a little bit, putting out some furniture and decor as well as some potted herbs. Unfortunately, because our entire backyard was dirt, all of these cushions were starting to get a little bit dusty and I ended up having to put them away. And then all of my herbs slash veggies that I had in these little planters were getting completely decimated by white moths, and I ended up having to pretty much get rid of all of them, which was very sad since they look so lovely and green in this clip.
Everybody couldn't make a wrong turn. You waver and slip and you get burned. But I'm here, so don't you worry, 'cause you know I'll be there in a hurry. Out of the cold into my warm hands in the sun.
One of the first things to occur was getting an excavator in to start leveling out some of the backyard and front yard where we would want to have retaining walls and adding a little bit more of a flat surface. Dave also needed to build fences down both sides. The larger side was a colorbond fence, and then he built a wooden fence on the front sort of panel that led around to the main part of the backyard. And we needed these in place pretty quickly after moving in so that we could bring the dog down. Because of the slope of the block and how much was cut out of it in order to build the house, we knew that we would have to have retaining walls out both the front and backyard. We wanted to get concrete sleepers for these, and we knew that that would be a little bit more pricey. That, in conjunction with the fact that Dave wanted to set up some really solid drainage systems, meant that we weren't going to be putting in the retaining walls straight away, and instead he used these leftover roof panels to set up some makeshift retaining walls out both the front and back, and put in quite a bit of manual labor in order to get them sort of leveled off and fill in as much of the dirt as possible.
Every time you're away, I long for you so much I can find my way. We got everything
There was probably at least a month of us living in the house where we didn't have a driveway. So when it finally got put in, it made the biggest difference. We wanted to have exposed ag just to add like a little bit of color and texture rather than just having a single color. And I like the flecks of white throughout, just adding a little bit of diversity and breaking up the colors of the house.
That with you I feel alive. You'll be the last one I think about. We got time on our side. We're in a state of hope. Honey, you are my fire. I want you to know that every time you're away.
Over the past couple of months since we've had Hunter, our backyard has really been neglected, but we are trying to get in the habit of getting some things done. So Dave has already started chipping away at this part of the yard here where we're going to have a retaining wall, and obviously like all of this section needs to be chipped away at as well. Dave has also dug some trenches and put in some pipes and these little drains to really help with drainage, particularly sort of in this area here. When it rains a lot, it does get quite waterlogged and we have a lot of runoff coming from the houses and yards behind us. So we really want to minimize that problem as much as possible. He still does need to put some more drains down this side here and along that fence, and then also connect them to the front of the yard as well, so it can all drain out and go into the sewer. But we want to start working on this section, getting out some weeds. We have done some weed killer along here and down the side and then out the front, but we're going to do some more weed killer roundup and sort of start getting the yard ready for road base and turf.
And I saw you walking the line.
We did have a fair chunk of time with bad weather and not a lot of progress was made out the back. Then all of a sudden a few things happened quickly. Dave started leveling out more of the dirt, put in some garden edging and grabbed a heap of road base that he started to put in sections of the garden edging where drainage had already been put in underneath or where drainage was not necessary.
It's a miracle that you and I are finally here. I saw you walking the line, and the truth may come as a surprise.
Once again, it felt like nothing happened for so long. Dave had to spend quite a bit of time digging holes and leveling things off and running lines and doing lots of things I don't understand in order to cement in the posts for the retaining walls. And we had a lot of bad weather that really made it difficult to get those cemented in. But once he had a few of them cemented in, he recruited his brother-in-law Brendan to come down for a weekend, and they were able to get a heap of the concrete sleepers put in, so that one whole side of the back retaining wall and one whole side of the front retaining wall were done. And that made it so that we were able to actually put in some plants along the side of that retaining wall. We chose these red rubies, which are going to be great to like bush out and make a little bit more of a hedge for that area. And then it was time to get things prepped for the grass, which also took quite a bit of time in terms of leveling things off, adding in topsoil and compost, and then ordering in the grass to be delivered. But once it had been delivered and installed, it made the biggest difference to our backyard. Unfortunately, some of the plants that I planted in our very first garden, that I was quite proud of, mind you, were not faring so well, and it wasn't necessarily that I had a black thumb, it's that we had a large dog who decided that these plants would make a great peeing post. So I did need to replace one of them, which is what I'm doing at the moment, but there is another one that's kind of on the brink. I'm not sure if I can bring it back to life or not, but hopefully it will be able to survive and thrive.
It's all gone. Feeling is all gone. If I could take you back to my youth and show you what I wish I knew, my will is strong with a place to lean.
So let's do a yard tour. Starting off with the only area that is actually fully done, that is this part of the yard. It's our side part. We've got our zoysia grass, which goes all the way down that way, and then up to the fire pit here, and all of the concrete sleepers for the retaining wall are in for this section. Got our little rubies and they are going so well. The kind of idea is that they will bush out and take up this entire space so that there'll be no gaps between them, which I think will be great in terms of keeping weeds at bay, and then also just making sure that any runoff from the neighbours over this side, the plants will suck up that water, and we've got lots of drainage in as well, but just another layer of drainage because we are on quite a slope. So considering that that's the only area that is fully complete, let's talk about what the plan is moving forward. So let's go down here with Mac. So this area by the front fence, Dave originally did those two doors. We've realised since that they are incredibly heavy, and that even though he's concreted in like really sturdy posts, it's just not doing the job to hold them up. So we are at some point going to take those out and just put COLORBOND ones in, which we probably should have done in the first place. This whole area here will have the retaining wall still going down that side. I think we'll only need maybe 1 or 2 sleepers there, and then this whole area is going to be road base, thicker rocks. All of this hopefully will be gone. We've still got bricks there that need to go, Dave's tools that will need to go in the garage, and then this small section here, bearing in mind that all of that's rocks, that's where Mac's kennel's going to live. So he measured that out to be able to fit the kennel perfectly, and had to do like a little bit of manoeuvring to this concrete sleeper in order to make that space big enough. This garden bed here I thought was finished, but as you can see it is looking worse for wear, and also we're having a lot of problems with Mac weeing on the grass and like absolutely destroying the grass. So if you do have any tips when it comes to zoysia, please let me know. It is so soft, it doesn't grow a ton, so you don't need to like mow it as frequently as other grass, but obviously the wee is an issue. But now, considering that these plants are copying Mac's pee and just dying, I think I need to bolster this garden a bit and maybe add some sort of ground cover type flowering situation in between each of the plants to add a bit more colour and sort of grow over the top of the rocks so that they're not as noticeable. Then we flip around to this back section. This space here where we've got the garden edging around the aircon, we're actually going to fill that up even further with larger rocks. I don't know if they're going to be the road base rocks that we've used up the back near the fire pit, or if we're going to use something like a bit nicer. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously at some point we will need to get ourselves like a proper hose situation. This one is working for now, but I would like one that we can mount on the wall and have as a retractable hose. That will be really good, especially once we get more garden beds in place. Now, for the most part, this little fire pit area is done. These rocks are staying, that fire pit is staying. These chairs are just here for now, but I think what we'll end up doing is maybe getting 2 bench seats that we can perhaps move in and out to sort of keep them out of the weather, and then multiple people can use this space as well. I've then moved my lemon tree from around the front over to here, and I will probably need to repot that into a bigger pot, but for now that's where it's staying. This whole back section, Dave has concreted in these posts, but wasn't able to start like putting in the concrete sleepers and take out these COLORBOND panels there yet, because he does need to run like a whole another layer of pipe. So there'll be more pipe and drainage going all the way down this back section, and then all the way down the other side of the house leading out to the street, because this whole back section here gets a lot of water, and you'll see as we move up there it's retaining quite a bit. So at some point this whole section will have our retaining wall concrete sleepers, and then this whole back section we are going to rip out all this grass, and we'll have some of the zoysia just in the back corner there, which is where our clothesline will be, and then the rest of this back section will be these large road-based rocks, and I'd like to have 2 really big veggie patches. That is like my lifelong dream on either side of here, which is where our stairs are going to go. Down this side here we'll have that large road-based rock the whole way down and around, which will lead around to the laundry, and we'll get some big pavers to sort of use as stepping stones and put them incrementally throughout. Then the last area that will need to be complete is our sort of covered area, and it's the only area that if you look at the start of the video to the end of the video, it's looking worse as opposed to better, which I think is probably every other area. Obviously we've got the hammock here, which I bought Dave for Christmas, that will be staying, and the barbecue over there will be staying, but literally everything else on this back deck is going to go. We've just kept this sort of dining setting out here for the meantime, but truly it is just a catch-all for stuff as opposed to actually being used for any sitting or outdoor dining. Obviously Mac's kennel will be moving down to the lower end, and what will happen is that this whole deck, this whole back section will be covered in deck. We're probably going to do a Merbau deck. That was sort of the original plan anyway, and it will go all the way up to where the steps are going to be. So that back section there that currently has smaller rocks will be covered, and this little side section here all the way down here will also be covered. And then the end game plan is that this section here will have like a nice like outdoor lounge, maybe an outdoor mat, coffee table, and then a TV potentially hung to the wall there so that we can be barbecuing and like listening to music or watching the football or whatever it may be. And then hopefully by the time all of these things are done, this will be a really nice usable outdoor space with different zones for, you know, laying in the grass, having a little picnic, and Hunter playing, and me gardening out the back with my veggie patches, and then just practical in terms of like having space for access down the front here for the dog kennel, and being able to move our indoor dining outdoors as well and fully take advantage of the whole space. As you can see, there is still a lot more to go, and it feels like there have been like these chunks of time where there's been significant progress and lots happening, whether that is getting the driveway in or putting in some of the concrete sleepers or doing the grass. Like, it makes a really big difference just to the look and functionality of our yard, but clearly there is a lot more to do, and unfortunately it's just one of those things that's going to take time and money, so it's going to be a slow process, especially when Dave is wanting to do a lot of it himself in order to cut the costs and just to make sure that things are done properly. But I promise you, at some point in time, maybe in another year and a half, I will be able to show you a completed back and front yard transformation, and I'm really hoping that the veggie patch of my dreams will be part of that as well. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. I upload new videos every single week. With that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys.